Hello everybody and welcome to another podcast from GNet Property and Finance Group. My name's Chad Higgins, I am a CEO. I'm here with my partner in crime as always and co-founder Pierre Avenard.
Hello everybody.
Yeah, and we have a really exciting podcast for you today. In fact, it's really special because if you're thinking about property investment in Bali, then we've got probably the best team to speak to than we've had on our podcast show before. We're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn about development, construction, management and villa rentals. So without further ado, welcome guests Dominic Higgins and Craig Cooper.
Thank you, Chad. Hello everyone.
Yeah, thanks for coming into the GNet Property podcast boardroom /podcast room.
Thanks for having us.
Very sexy room.
Guys, so 20 years combined experience in property investment in Bali, right?
Yep, we have.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Sundar. And I guess at the end of the podcast, we'll have a chat about your latest project, Santani Estate,
yes,
which is moving along quite quickly. But I guess I probably just want to give the audience an understanding of your history and how that relates to Bali and your experience of property development here. So Dom, London boy from way back, Manchester. Boy.
Yeah, my city, right, Chad.
Manchester.
Yes, from Manchester. But lived in London for many years, 17 years in fact.
Yeah, and I guess give us a bit of a history about how you got into property investment in London and Europe, because you've got quite an interesting story too.
Yeah. Well, I was working in London for many years, in the late 90s, 1999. I was looking to buy a flat in London. I thought, two-bed flat, let's buy in an up-and-coming area, buy a rundown flat that I can refurb, just to, I didn't have too much spare cash in those days.
Yeah.
Prices are much lower, thankfully. And I found a flat in a really good up-and-coming area, bought it, renovated it, lived in it, remortgaged it to release some cash a couple of years later. And I had some good bonuses for my day job as well. So then I started looking around. I bought some old terrace properties in Manchester, did the same thing, renovated, refurbished, rented out, sold some to raise some more cash as well.
Yeah.
And so did that for a few years. And
it's in the blood in London property investment, isn't it?
It has been a great city, maybe less so now. We'll touch on that, I'm sure. But back in the day, in the late 90s, early thousands, it was a great place to invest. So I still have some of the properties. I've sold some down recently to invest in Bali because of what's happening here and the great return on investments you can get here, and we'll talk about that. So I've been selling down some of my properties in the UK to reinvest here in Bali.
Yeah, good. Interesting that you say, let's talk about that, because a lot, and you'll find this with your estates and with our estates, with our properties as well, is the amount of property investors at the moment that are pulling out of Western areas, London, New Zealand, Australia. It's when you talk about let's diversify my portfolio, this is the actual time that you're diversifying your portfolio. Mm-hmm. It's not like don't invest in London, don't invest in Australia, don't invest in New Zealand, but start to put some money into Asia where you can still get a lot of bang for your buck. Mm-hmm. You can rent out the returns, the real legitimate returns. If you want to see them, speak to our sales team to see the profit and loss analysis. Where you're getting 15, 16 and
double
higher.
Digit, yeah, correct.
Yeah. We just had a guy yesterday from Dubai where wasn't happy with his returns there, and he's brought in 1.5 billion into
properties, into villas here. Yeah, of course, because Dubai, is a buyer's market at the moment, but the cycling and the cycles are obviously evolving, and we are at the peak of the market there. I would say the same in London. So people are looking at diversifying. Bali is a place when you can come with cash and do double-digit returns.
Yeah. And the cost of construction, the cost of your product is much cheaper. So but interesting. So London was
the start of it all, and then Manchester, and then what I did in about 2003. Kind of relevant to people who are looking to invest in Bali as well. I thought, look, markets plateauing in the UK. There was several countries acceding to the EU, like Poland, there was Czech Republic, Slovakia. So let's go and research Central Europe. But I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I've been there once before for a weekend in Prague, a weekend in Warsaw. So long story short, spent a lot of time researching it. I thought, I need a good local agent or two. I need a good lawyer. I want to find a good developer. I want to buy off plan. I want to buy, and the market should go up with all this new investment, direct investment going into.
So you're becoming a bit of a skilled investor at this stage, because the first time a doer-upper, you wouldn't really recommend that these days. I mean, to do a place up, there's a lot of hard work.
There is, yeah, and it depends how much time you have as well, and how much hassle. Do you like getting your fingers dirty? But if not, if you want to do pure investment, you have to put in the research, find a good developer. I want to go. I went to
Warsaw.
Leave
the dirty work for the construction lines like Craig.
Absolutely, Mr. Craig here. So basically, in short, went to Warsaw, went to Czech Republic, and decided on the 2 countries. Found some good developers, found a really good local agent, found a good solicitor who can hold my hand and guide me through, all from recommendations and research. It was a lot harder to research back in those days. In 2002, 2003, the internet was still relatively new. But it's so much easier now. Really is. So I found a couple of developers. I ended up buying 3 apartments off plan. In 2003, 2004.
Wow.
So I went through all the things that sort of your clients and our clients do now to maybe move money from Australia or from Europe to invest into a growing market and a good return on investment like Bali. That's exactly what I went through as a client back in the day.
Yeah, and I guess that's that experience, you walk your clients through a lot of that. But what you just said there, you got a team, you got the right agent on the ground, you got the local lawyers. Don't try and do everything yourself. Assemble a team, and make your life, reduce your risk.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, it's about having a good team around you, someone who you can trust, who gives you good advice, someone who's not just after trying to make a fast buck off you. I bought 1 apartment, like what I did, like the team. I ended up buying a second one, I ended up buying a third one. So, and it was a great investment.
Yeah.
Since sold, I hasten to add, because again the market plateaued. So, just sold the last apartment there about 3 years ago.
Well, that's diversification, isn't it? London, Prague.
And then Bali. Yeah.
All right. So you moved to Bali when, buddy?
Just over 10 years ago, I moved here. My good friend, an old university friend, Craig, I'd been living here for a couple of years, few years. I was a big golfer. I used to come to Bali playing golf in the middle of the English winters.
Yeah.
Fell in love with Bali, fell in love with the culture, fell in love with the whole place. And the golf courses were quite good as well. So fell in love. He's trying to persuade me to come to Bali. I gave him some money to invest in some land. He built some villas. So I was like, well, this is interesting. This is just after the great financial recession as well. So my investments in Europe were like going down. Life was harder. Bali, Asia was growing. It was booming, like it is now. So I put some money in some land. He built some villas. I made a really, really good return. I'm thinking, why don't I move to Bali?
Yeah, right.
So I did.
Closer.
Yeah, so I did. Thank you. So we set up a villa rentals business. That's what we did.
And you got a large amount of villas under rental now. So, okay, so for investors that are looking at this, you can move into it as a full-time job, because this is your full-time job. I mean, you do work, right? An hour or two a day.
Yeah, I try to do a bit. Not too much.
An hour or two a day. So you can take it on as a full-time operation if that's what you want to do. But of course, you can do it passive too. You know, you can buy a villa off you guys and have it managed and do it as a passive second income.
Yeah, right? It's like a full turnkey. So you buy it off plan. We build it for you. We hold your hand all the way through. You have a great team around you. You know, I've done this as a client. I'm doing this as a developer now with my business partner Craig and Tina, and we'll hold your hand, make sure it's all safe and secure. And then when it's built, we can advise you on the management if you want to do that. You might want to live in it. You might want to live in it for a few months and rent it out. We might want to rent it out for the whole 12 months as a pure investment. So we can advise you on the best way to do that. And then obviously all the post-buying service and the post-management service, we can hold your hand and advise on that as well. So it's a full from start to finish.
From start to finish. And that's the experience as well. Like we said before at the start of the podcast, there's 20 years combined experience between you two guys. From the villa rental and management side as a full-time job. Got a bit tougher in COVID, but boy, are we back. I mean, you were talking to me the other night and telling me 90% occupancy you're at? Was your levels?
Yeah, April's been, April in particular, because we had Easter and Idul Fitri Eid, you know, back to normal now, back to pre-2000, 2019 levels, or pre-COVID. So rental business is booming again.
Booming again.
Not even a year. Wow.
Thank God.
Well, there's actually a shortage of good rental properties on the market here now anyway. There's people all over the place. You know, I get so many messages each week. Have you got a villa to rent? Have you got a villa to rent? I'm looking for a 4-bedder. I'm looking for a 2-bedder. Just haven't got them.
Because that's super interesting.
There's a lot of demand.
There's the demand, and then so the demand's coming from a couple of places too. So we'll talk about because we do a property investment Australia, Bali, Thailand, right? And we do a lot in Queensland because we had this massive migration into Queensland domestically, and then huge shortage there. In Bali, we've got the same type of thing where you can work from home. We talk about this in a lot of our podcasts. You can work from home, but the whole globe has come into Bali from long-term stays.
Yes.
So we're taking up all the real estate, and then so the tourism real estate many times.
Yeah, I have some strong thoughts now, because what's happening here, you have kind of the perfect storm. You had COVID, no one could move anywhere for 2.5 years. It was very difficult. You did digital nomad, maybe.
I was the only Australian left on the island.
I think you were. I'm glad you stayed. I'm glad you stayed.
But they're back.
But you got people who wanted to move to Bali but couldn't for 2.5 years. Then you have people who thought, in 10 years I might retire or semi-retire. I'm going to move my family and myself to Bali and have a better quality of life. But they thought, after COVID and all its horrendous effects, it's thought, why not do it now? Life's too short. Right. Let's just move now. So you've got people who delayed plans, people bringing plans forward, and then other factors. So there's a big deluge of people coming into Bali that need somewhere to live.
And so that's already happened, but I think it's just the start. Because we speak to so many people that are saying we're selling up and we're moving.
Yes.
There was an article in a paper just yesterday about which Bali is one of the #1 retirement places in the world.
Not only that, it's really user friendly to come to Bali. You can fly in, you can get a visa. Anyone, you can just get a visa on arrival, bang, pay $35, you're in.
Yeah.
And then if you like it enough, you stay.
Yeah.
And you go and apply for a visa, a work visa, or all the different visas you can get here. And bingo, you're living in Bali.
You live in Bali.
Yep. And it's that easy. Yeah. It's good.
And it's still
user-friendly like that.
And there's still a big difference in the cost of living between Australia and Bali, UK, Europe, North America and Bali. There's huge inflation in Australia, Europe at the moment. Not so much inflation here. There's some, but not as much. So your money goes even further here than it did before.
And I think it always will go further here. Property prices are up for sure. Rental is up. Accommodation is up. But in comparison to holidaying on the Gold Coast or holidaying in Prague, it doesn't really compare. It's still so cheap.
So much cheaper.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Like there's still so many things I haven't done in Bali, and I've done a lot.
Yeah, true.
Guys, again, talking about experience, because we want to give some value and some understanding to the audience. Dom, I appreciate you to give us some background about you, but Craigie, Australian boy from Gold Coast boy.
That's it.
Construction all your life?
Yeah, construction all my life.
Give me the history.
Yeah, we actually work in Australia. As a young guy, 16 years old, I was on building sites, and I was a carpenter, learning to be a carpenter, and I had a nail bag and hammer on, and that would have been a good look.
Have we got a photo?
We got an old photo there. Nail bag and hammer on construction sites, and then sort of moved on to high-rise buildings, and I was groomed as a cadet and into project management and to site management, and then I went and did like a building degree as well, and I just moved up through the building industry, but a lot of work. 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. We work our asses off as apprentices down in Australia, and I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And that stuff is paying off for me here now, So I went into project management, and then I moved on to getting my own builder's license on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And I was a builder there for a long time, and then the next step up is being a developer and hiring builders to do your work for you. And so I became a developer there and started doing developments around the Gold Coast, and for as long as I can remember, I've been flying to Bali, have a cup of tea, landing in Bali, and so I was always coming over here on holidays. But one time about 14 years ago, I came over here and I had a few mates here, and he showed me a block of land in Seminyak. It still had cows on it, and it was about 3,000 square metres, and he said, why don't we buy this and build some villas on it? And I woke up the next morning and I owned that block of land with my mate.
14 years ago, I would have loved to know the price of it back then.
Absolutely.
Right? Wow.
And we just, it was kind of actually around the time when that global financial crisis was happening.
Right.
And I was thinking, oh shit, you're watching on television people in Lehman's Bank carrying their boxes out of their banks going, it was all the banks collapsing and everything. Yeah. And yet we bought that land then, and we designed 6 villas to go on this block, and we just rolled the dice. And with my building background, and I knew how to build, but it was a different story. You learned how to build here, and that was an education in itself. And trying to put a team together that could do the work and do the quality and engineering.
And a lot of that team, that original team, they're sort of still with you. I mean, they've learned the Aussie standards.
14 years ago, the team that I had a good Chinese, Indonesian builder then. He was amazing, and he got me through. But I sold 6 villas very quickly off the bat. You know, people wanted to live here. They were big, beautiful villas. I had families, investors, and that was during that financial crisis. So Bali doesn't seem to suffer.
Right.
It doesn't seem to suffer in all this, world financial, inflationary shit.
Inflation, but it's very.
We just go, what about it?
And always has.
Doesn't. Yeah. So
and long may it continue.
Yes,
I think it will.
Correct. In fact, it seems that the more financial crisis the Western world goes through, the more people come here and live. They bring their money here because the numbers are different here.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend $1 million.
No.
You can spend 400 grand and bingo, you've got yourself a beautiful home.
From a beautiful home. I mean, we
makes a lot of sense.
We do a lot of property investment in Queensland, and it's still very good. I mean, Australia is a beautiful place to invest, but at the moment you've got to pick your mark. And we talk about this. We talk about in Australia, get a co-living, get a dual key, get something that's cash flow positive, because you don't want to. At the moment, you don't want to be putting your spare money, your extra money, your savings, and costing you money in a property. You want cash flow positive property at the moment, which is Bali and select properties in Australia. But the Queensland boom for property prices was insane over COVID, and still continues to go up. There's some beautiful projects in Queensland, but be selective of what you where you're putting it.
I think if you got inflation at whatever it is, 7, 8, 10%, 10% still in England as of yesterday. So if you got money in the bank, you're earning 3 or 4%, you're losing your money. If you invest in London real estate, I'm selling a flat in London right now, an apartment in London. I was earning 3% yield. I'm losing money on it. So I'm selling that. I'm going to reinvest money over here where I can get 20-25% return on my money. So, that makes sense in a high inflation environment.
What's France inflation at the moment?
It's about 7.
You've got a whole bunch of more.
Well, there's a lot of things happening in France at the moment.
Inflation is about inflation and everything.
It's the list of their problems. They're thinking about, it's the same thing in France. We are pushing the retirement age to 65, so it's 2 years more than what it was, and people are in the streets, and they are looking at also going somewhere else, right, and retiring somewhere else. So the French are, I think inflation is around 7%, but the whole Eurozone is really in a struggle. Nothing compared to the UK, but we don't handle anything about our retirement income. We don't handle the property prices because the debt is all around, and it's the same thing. I think French retirees are pushing to find somewhere else. So it might be Thailand, it might be Bali, but Bali has a great future for people to diversify and come and retire. You can't find double digit in France.
No. Well, you can't do any Western world for double digit. We can't even get to double digit on co-livings. Still a very sound investment if a very good capital growth. But if you're looking at the moment for a second income, because this is what it's all about, right? The only way to beat inflation is by having a bit more money, right? You can either go out and ask your boss for a pay rise. Good luck. Or you put your money to work. So put your money to work in a place where you're going to get very strong cash flow positive returns.
And you get lifestyle at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, you can enjoy it.
Everything's changed in Bali from the perspective that it's becoming more populous. But I love it more today than I ever did before. The choice of restaurants and dining and accommodation.
I'm exactly the same. That was always my biggest. I came from London, so great entertainment and amenities. And when I moved I was living in Broward 10 years ago, whatever, and there was nothing here. I had to go to Seminyak. What do you have? You had a few decent restaurants, a coup d'etat, beach place, and you had a couple of places a bit further north. There's nothing in Broward back then, and there was limited choice. I used to think, God, I could
it suits people right across the board. Just from people in their 20s that just want to come and party, all the way through to families.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's all here. There's restaurants, boutiques, beaches, surf.
I mean, we can still go and get a beautiful, relaxing $10 massage, on the weekend after.
$10 for a good massage.
For a good massage after a gym session in world-class gym facilities. In Australia, it's $120, $140.
But you go on the beach. I was on the beach a few nights ago. Beautiful sunset, tropical beach bar. I'm paying $1.50. What's that in Australia? $2.50, whatever, for an ice cold beer, sat on the beach watching a beautiful sunset. So
all the appeal that Bali still has and will for a very, very long time. Good guys. So that's the experience. So it's buying and renovating properties in London.
Yeah, and on that, and hence that's why rental properties seem to be so in short supply, because people come here, they get a 2-month visa, they go, fuck this, I'm going to live here.
Yeah.
And they're looking for somewhere to rent, and there isn't enough properties.
No. We have to keep building to supply the market, which is the investor opportunity, massive investor opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you can get returns at 20%, 20% either on short-term or long-term rental. Yeah, we have a couple of different clients, as I said before. We've got people just buying to invest, so they're going to maybe rent it short-term or long-term. Then we have clients who want to actually come and enjoy the lifestyle for 2 or 3 months of the year. We've got Canadian clients, Americans, Australian clients, some Europeans, and they want to come for a few months or 6 months. But when they're not here, they want to have an income stream off it.
Yeah.
They may not be not looking to maximise their return, but they're thinking, if I can cover my costs and make some money while I have a holiday for a few months over there, amazing. Yeah. So you get all these different. That's why property investment in Bali is good. There's a wide net of people who are going to buy off you.
Yeah. So okay, that's your audience. So it's property investors, long-term stays, medium to long-term stays, but a mix of that. But owner occupiers too, right? A lot of people over the years with your 50-odd villas, they're
families, mum and dad and the kids. A lot of that. A lot of mum and dad and the kids, actually.
Well, there are, actually. Where the Santani estate is, our current project in Bumbak Umalas. Umalas has amazing schools. It's very well known in Bali. It's next to Canggu, it's next to Browse, you're near all the restaurants, all the cool bars.
I was going to introduce the estate for you, but you control it. But away you go.
It's just talking about the schools, of course. I'm not just trying to get it in on purpose. Anyway, so no, it's good schools. But going back to who we sell to, we built some 4-bedroom villas and 3-bedroom villas. We're selling to some young families who've got kids at the local schools. There's a French school, there's a Canggu community school, there's a Montessori school,
poor education school. French school, Australian school.
There's a couple of private great schools.
Just on our Sundar, we did 9 there, and we've got Santani coming up now because Sundar's all done. But we sold a big 4-bedder that we built, the beautiful houses, they're amazing, to a Filipino guy, an investor, really cool guy. A Korean woman with her son.
There you go.
And her son goes to the Green School. A Russian lady with her American husband, and they've got their 2 kids in Canggu School. An American couple from LA bought one of the 3-bedders. A Canadian couple. And another American couple. A lot of Americans
people from all over the world.
Shows everywhere.
Shows you people from all over the world. Bali is a worldwide travel destination. People will travel from all over the world. So that's important from an investment point of view as well, because if you go to other parts of the world, you might attract a certain segment or geographical segment, whereas Bali is truly a worldwide destination. For holidays, for weddings, for
16,000 weddings in Bali every year.
I'll give you a little anecdote. So, my rental business, we specialise in large villas, 7, 9, 10, 11-bedroom villas. And people say to me, who rents big villas? You must struggle to fill them. I'm like, well, if you think about it, who comes in big groups? We have a lot of milestone birthdays, 30th, 40th, 50th, 60th.
Had my mum's 70th year. We had 25 this year in November.
We have weddings. You have weddings, wedding guests. You have the bachelor parties, the hen parties. You have sports teams. The Aussie sports teams, lots and lots of them. You got family reunions. We have a lot of families from Europe reunioning with families who've emigrated to Australia, New Zealand. Big place, come to Bali. So there's lots of opportunities here. And people forget a wide net and a diverse type of person who's going to rent your property either long term or short term.
And I think the numbers come back out. We're back up to 400,000
per month.
Was February, I think, was the numbers.
And it's all year round.
All year, and that's a very important point, because I've got friends in America who've got short term rentals in Cape Cod, in certain tourist destinations, and amazing during the summer. Maybe from May if you're lucky through to September after Labor Day. During the winter, weekends only. Weekends only. Nothing weekdays. And some weekends empty, so they go and stay themselves.
Bali is a good thing for that in Victoria, but if you go down to the coastal areas, Rosebud and Sorrento and places like that. But they're good for 6 months of the year, isn't it? Then Melbourne's weather kicks in.
But no, Bali is truly, and I know it from my rental figures, a truly 365 night a year rental opportunity.
This is unique.
And we also sell we've just signed one up to Tony and his wife, at Santani at our new estate. And he's lived here for like 15 years. So we got people like that coming and seeing our product and our designs and our build and our fittings and our bathrooms and kitchens and terrazzo floors. They're nice. Our villas are really, really nice. Yeah. Well, and they love them. And we're getting people that lived here that really, really know the island, and they're buying them.
That's true, actually. That's a good point. Because they've lived in Sanur and they want to have a change, and they don't want to go to Canggu. They've got kids, too busy, but they want to be near all that and the restaurants. So they've chosen Bumbak Umalas because of the attractions that it has. It was an up-and-coming place, great investment opportunity, great return on your investment if you want to rent it out. But it's quietish, but it's got lots of new cafes and restaurants. So from an investment point of view, wherever you invest, not just in Bali, do your research, find the up-and-coming areas that are being gentrified, new cafes and new restaurants. You can see them. You see it, and there's everywhere around the world. You get the ripple effect. Yeah, you get it in Sydney, you get it in France, Paris, you get it in London. Canggu, Broward, been booming, very expensive, bit overcrowded. So people think it's a bit expensive for me, a bit too noisy. I want to be near it, so let's go to the places.
It doesn't take people long when they come to Bali to work out what the numbers are and what the ROI is, what you can really get on your money, and they come over here and they go, oh shit, if I put 450 grand into this and I'm getting 12% a year, where else can I get that?
Nowhere. We do this in our webinars all the time. We get the perfect real estate checklist, right? Which for first-time investors, because they can be a little bit nervous, but for second-time investors too, we say area validation, project validation, developer validation, and strong ROI, right? So let's talk about that in relation to Sentai estate, right? Why the area? Why the size? Why the design? What sort of ROI can they expect?
Yeah, sure. I'll do the design bit. This is a kind of important one. I was just discussing this just last night. What's happening in Bali at the moment? Land prices are going up. So there's lots of small units being built, one-bedroom townhouses, one-bedroom apartments, two-bed townhouses. There's not a lot of villas being built, but there's still a good rental demand for villas, but not much being built and not much planned to be built. If you see what's being built, there's a lot of one-bed, two-bed small units out there. But there's a good demand from a long-term rental and short-term rental for 3-4-bed units. Villas. People come to Bali, they want a villa experience. They can live in an apartment in Sydney, they want a villa, traditional villa in Bali. So, important point there. Choose what type of property you want to invest in, because that will lead to your ROI as well. So the ROI on the Santani estate and short-term rental, you're looking around 18 to 20% ROI.
Wow,
which is great. Wow. Yeah, net. That's net after all your costs.
Wow. And I love what you guys do as well, because you're always when you develop your areas or your estate, you're buying into them as well. So it's not
for sure.
So you're one of the clients too.
Yeah. In fact, Tony was just buying. He said, "I know where you live. I like the fact you can be 3 doors down from me. And I'll come and knock on your door if there's any problems." But he gets all the warranties. We hold your hand. We hold your hand to the whole process. We've all been through it. I've been through it in Prague and in London. We're a proven developer. We give you security. We hold your hand and make you feel safe and secure. You might be nervous about buying overseas or buying in Bali for the first time. So, we'll take you through the whole process. We'll introduce you, and the agent will recommend a good lawyer as well, a good notary. We'll transfer the land.
Agent.
GeoNet, I would say, absolutely. Talk to them. And, we hold your hand. We transfer the land right at the start of the process. So your collateral, your security, we transfer the land, the plot, into your name even before you've started paying. And then
there's the protection, there's the security.
And then you'll do stage
collateral.
And then you'll do stage payments, and we'll say you give us 30%, then we'll build 30%. You've got the land already. We'll build 30% of the villa, full transparency. We've got nothing to hide. You even find out all our construction costs, and you get a printout saying we built 30%, and then we ask you for the next stage payment. So you're not exposed financially
either
by much. No.
It works
both ways. So it's a good way to buy a villa off plan, and then at the end of it, we give you the key, but then you got warranties, 5-year structural warranty, very important. Not many developers will do that. A lot of new developers here. Not got the experience. They don't have the reputation. Craig, the experience, amazing Australian.
And you guys aren't going anywhere.
No, we've been here a long time. I'll be dying here. So.
And you're on site every day. Right? I've been there. I've seen during the building. You're on site every day.
That's actually interesting that Pierre mentioned that. We get a lot of developers come to us all the time. Can you help us promote our products and promote our villas and whatever? And there's a lot at the moment that have bought some land. They get some renders together with a floor plan.
Yeah.
And our first question to him is, where are your project managers? And are they here permanently?
Yeah.
No. What, you think you can do this without being here? Not on our platform.
Yeah. But this is where you're dealing with a good agent like yourselves, like Geo&A. You only take on good developers, proven developers who you know have been in Bali a long time and developing in Bali, and you've seen the product. So, you stand by your reputation. You are not going to promote a developer who's new and doesn't have a good reputation.
Dom, for us, any of our viewers might know, and some might be watching, we just finished our 25-story Liberty 1, handed over keys to investors just last week.
In Melbourne.
In Melbourne, in Footscray. But those buyers are buying in Bali now. Yeah. So we have to guide them in the right direction because they trust us to do that.
The main thing is there's legals that you've got to be careful of because it's a whole different language to what we speak in Australia. There's leasehold and, notaries. We don't call them notaries in Australia. What's a notary? There's a whole bunch of language around the real estate. We call it an ARA, not square meters. There's all this sort of
terminology, isn't it?
Terminology. Yeah. And so you got to wade through all that and learn how. What's an ARA? Well, it's 10 square metres of land.
40.2 RA to an acre. I had to measure that.
What's an acre?
That was a good point, Craig. Yeah, it's a really, really good point. It's about holding the hand and making the client, be it us as a developer, you as an agent, working in tandem to make the client feel safe, secure. They can bring money over from Australia or wherever and invest it here and feel safe and secure that. Because, like anywhere in the world, when money's involved, there's fraud going on, So it can happen in Australia, it happens in London, Paris.
You've got to have a good lawyer. We've got a great lawyer. She's amazing and she really helps. We got to get people into the boardroom with a lawyer and she just runs through it all the contracts.
She's good.
Because let's face it, I remember the very first time 14 years ago when I had to send 200 grand from Australia.
Right, to buy the land.
To buy the land to a notary. And I said, what's a notary? and
I'm setting
some little guy named Eddie on Corona.
And is this 200 grand still going to be there?
That Eddie.
And I sent him 200 grand. I'm going, oh, Jesus.
But it worked out.
No, but it worked out, but it could easily have not worked out. So it's a very good story to tell because, you have to be careful. But, dealing with companies like Geo&A or, good developers, there's some good, a number of good developers here. Yeah. I always say to people, do your research, look around because I know we build top quality villas at a good price. We build very high quality. We don't cut corners. And the thing I say to people, I don't even sell. I say, look, go and do your research because I know you're going to come back. Go and look around, look at your price points, see what the ROI is, do your rental research. And if you're not having a chat, come back and speak.
And I wanted to add to that too because we were in November of last year, Property and Finance Group was the first to launch finance for clients in Australia. So if clients in Australia have assets, have their property, and we can leverage that and buy property in Bali and Thailand. So we can use
That's
that.
Amazing. Great scheme.
So when you're talking, even interest rates at the moment, which are 5%, just nudged over the 5% mark, but you're getting into a 25% return. Leverage your existing assets. Your cost is out of your pocket is zero to get into a Santani.
But dealing with clients with integrity and good advice, great doing that. I always say don't overextend yourself though. Only refinance things you can afford to refinance. Don't overextend yourself. But you'll be buying a good investment here that's going to in the right area with the right developer. And this is the right time for Bali. Get the right products in the right place, and you're in the right time in Bali. You'll get capital growth. You're getting a great return on your investment.
And you can tell all your friends I own a villa in Bali.
Where you can bring them over for a party. What's the program? We've started construction. Well into it. Well, that's a question for you, Mr. Builder.
Yeah, for the new one, for
the new Santani.
We've got 3 coming out of the ground. We've just sold another one that'll be coming out of the ground. Well, it's Ramadan here now, so in a few weeks.
2 more after Ramadan. 2 will start in May.
Yeah, 2 more. So we've got 5 coming out of the ground. And
we've got 4 left to sell.
There's 4 left to sell.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
And we've only just started marketing them.
Get it while it's there.
Get it while.
We've got our other project, Sundar, which is a really good example. There's 3 villas that we've got available that the Americans own, that a few people own, but we've got keys. And we can take people and show them the villas. They can see the terrazzo.
We had one of our investors, John,
You guys sold one for us.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
John from the US.
Yeah, he's going to come back in June. You can do the key handover. So yeah, he loves the villa. Absolutely loves it.
Yeah,
so,
he just loves it. Yeah.
So we've got 3 on the go now. Villa, 1 of the 3 is sold. 2 we're building with our own money. And then 5 and 6 are sold. They're going to start building in May after Ramadan, after the workers come back. So
plans for other projects after this, of course. You guys don't stop.
Well,
this is what you love doing. So
yeah, and I think getting the right location. We like to build in the right locations. It's going to give a good return to clients on the capital growth and return. So will we build in Umalas again? It's hard to find land. We'd like to, but it's hard to find land. But it's one or two other areas we're looking at, and which we'd like to maybe get a nice plot of land and where we think it will be, again, this ripple effect. Where are people going to go after Umalas? That's picking the right spots. And that's where, Craig experience, my experience, and Tina's experience, my other business partner, we look at where we think is the right place to invest.
Tina's, she's
the interior designer. Tina Kirchner, she's a world-renowned international interior designer. German, spends half the time in Europe, half the time in Bali. She's done all the interior. That's why the villas look fantastic. All the lighting design,
absolutely stunning.
Light design, all the interior design. Some great ideas on space saving and what have you.
Lease term on this, boys?
30 years.
30 years.
So 30 years plus 25 years. And I said that again, when you're looking at off plan, make sure you have an extension. I had a client the other day who was looking at another development, and they only give a 25-year extension, a 25-year lease, no extension.
Wow.
And people get caught out like that unless you've got a good lawyer that sets up the lawyer will tell our clients, this is what you need to have. You need to have 30 years, and you need to have 25-year or a 20-year extension. You've got to have that extension.
I think minimum leasehold term, you should be looking minimum 25 off plan. 30 is even better.
And it's also written up that if 10 years expires and you want to top it back up again, well, you can. You don't have to wait until...
Oh, okay, brilliant.
Yeah, you don't have to wait until 25 years and then go to the landowner. We can... Our leases are drawn up with the lawyer and with the landowner that if after 5 years, if you want to, after 5 years you can go to the landowner and go, I want to buy another 10 years and just top it up. So, it's good like that.
And it's land value, not
only the value. Only the value of the land.
That's what a lot of people don't understand. You said, I'm building on it. What does this lease mean? It's just extending.
So you can just keep topping it up.
And
it's no different to having a loan for 30 years in a lot of ways. If you want to,
you just push it back. It's amazing for resales, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why you do it.
And the client, Tony, yesterday, he's 60. He brought his daughter with him, his teenage daughter. He said, look, the extension is important because obviously in initial lease terms, more than my lifetime, said, but my daughter and my son are going to have this when I'm not here. So having that extension for families who want to pass it down to their children is really, really important.
From the mouths of babes, you've been renting villas here in Bali for 10 years. You've got you got a number of villas. What's on average? You got 3 bedroom,
3 or 4.
3 bedrooms.
What's this renting for? Low, high, peak
season? You look at different time of season, but in US dollar terms, you'll be looking around 320 in low season. Peak season, Christmas, New Year, and some other peak season times, you'll be looking around $600 a night.
Wow. Second income. And
there's other ways you can rent here.
And that's US dollars.
Ways.
US
dollars. You can do that sort of short-term rental, Airbnb, in, out, managing it like that. Or you can do it monthly. So a lot of people want monthly rent. You say, okay, you can have it for 6 months and pay me monthly. It's not quite as much as you get for the in out. But monthly rental's good because it's not so much management. And then there's people that just want a home to live in for a year or 2 years, and a lot of people, Russians especially, they will just go, how much? What you want,
and they pay 2 years up front.
They'll give you They'll give you over the odds 2 years up front. And you've got $100,000 or $80,000 in your hand US. For a 3-bedroom villa, and you can just go off and travel the world for a while.
20% of your money back already within a...
Sundar
that's right.
Sundar Villas, the previous project, which you sold one of our villas for us. Thank you for that. One of our clients, people are walking in, there's so much demand, people have been walking off the street, seeing as new villas just completing. And they're walking in, saying, knocking on the door, true story, knocking on the door, can I rent your villa?
Yeah.
And the clients are thinking, well, I'm not renting because I want to use it as a holiday home, but out of interest, how much would you be paying? And then someone offered $65,000 for a 12-month rental, all up front. And on a property which cost them $310.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to go away. That's going to stay pretty much the same like that, because in Bali still there's a lot of old school villas that are like 15, 20 years old now, and they've got the grass roofs and they've got the open air. You can't lock them up, and they've got mosquitoes. And
they're not renting on Airbnb anymore. Yeah. We did talk about this before.
Yeah, that whole dreamy Bali thing is out the door.
Yeah.
All ours are air conditioned, all locked up, aircon.
Yeah, the demand is for modern contemporary. I know some villa rental management companies, they will not touch old style villas.
Yeah.
They won't touch villas with outdoor living. Yeah. I actually personally like outdoor living, but this is what people on Airbnb. But that's why we build the way we build. We look at what people are demanding. You know, what do people want to live in? What do people want to rent? And that we look at that, and that's what we build to cater for the market.
And this is built to last, because you can still open up the doors and you can still get that outdoor Bali living by the pool. But when you want it closed, and
security.
Because we have the big French doors, French windows, full height ceiling. Lots of light, lots of space. But the double French doors open up to walk around your pool and your terrace, and it's stunning. So it feels like you got that indoor-outdoor living.
Great.
Plus the balconies in the master. This is very nice.
And we have on the new project, we have a balcony on the second bedroom upstairs also.
Wow.
So lots of outdoor space.
The other thing that the numbers here aren't the same as the numbers maybe in Australia or England or Europe or America. What can you buy for 450 grand in Australia? Yeah. A toilet
for 450. Oh wow, no, 450 Aussie. We can get like a very small apartment.
Yeah, you can get something.
A very very small apartment in kind of inner city, and it's tiny.
Aussie. That's Aussie, right? Yeah.
And for rental and that, with regards to rental yield, what would be the rental yield on that?
We're talking the ones where 3 or 4%.
Yeah.
My brother's just cashed up down there. He sold properties in the boom market down there on the Gold Coast, and he's even coming over here going, mate, I've got $1 million. What do you got? What do you got?
Two villas. Funny enough, we've given 2 villas.
So I sold him 2 villas anyway.
But
he did the numbers, For $1 million, he gets 2 3-bedroom villas with change.
Yeah.
And he gets probably 50 grand a year easily from each one of them.
That's right. At least more than that.
Income replacement done. Yeah. If that for a lot of people, that's retirement. Yep. And when you consider the boom that happened in Australia over the last number of years, and I'm not saying don't invest in Australia. Absolutely, we have some amazing stock in Australia. But if your appetite is for overseas and your appetite is for lifestyle change, then I would say if you can leverage and refinance if you can. But absolutely, I mean, $1 million in, you've got 2 villas and you've got 100,000 USD per year
easy 100. And the taxation here is
favourable.
Favourable, for want of a better word.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you'd be paying, in England now, taxes are going up left, right, and centre to pay for all the COVID costs. One of the reasons why I'm selling down my properties and reinvesting here is a tax reason, because I'm getting hardly any money at the end of the day because of the rising mortgage costs and the rising tax costs. So I'm like, why am I keeping my money in the UK? Even though I have an emotional attachment from a pure numbers game, it doesn't work for me anymore. Yeah.
And we build here with no wood at all, no timber. I don't use it because, the climate is brutal on wood here. It cracks and splits and warps, and everyone loves to use wood. It's a little bit woody here, But I just use brick and mortar and plaster and render and terrazzo and marble and, just all these hardy products that just the maintenance is really low.
We're going to put this out to the database and share all the information with our investors. It's going to go quick. The last remaining ones. But if clients want to come over here, maybe put a small holding deposit on it and come and check your existing stuff, they can easily do that as well.
We've got villas everywhere they can look at.
Yeah, we've got the show villas. We've got clients you can speak to. Really happy. Craig's, we've got some previous developments with Craig's as well. So absolutely, we can hold your hand, show you around. Come and look at our projects. And just see for yourself the amazing buildings that are being built in Bali. You've got modern, contemporary, kind of European design. That's what the demand is for now on rental in Bali.
Bit of a Mediterranean feel to it also, a bit boho as well, because I don't think people want really super contemporary, modern here. They want a little bit of the boho, a little bit of the Mediterranean.
Tropical feeling. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Guys, thank you so much for your time and popping into the studios.
For having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been great.
I think it's really important that, you know, the advice that you've given from both of you, the history is do it properly and it's okay, it's safe. Yeah. Get the right team around you. Yeah. We've got all the right lawyers.
Don't try and do it yourself.
No. Why would you bother with that nightmare? Assemble a good team. Use us, of course. We're here to help. Speak to us about finance options for Australians. For non-Australians, of course, we're going to help with that as well. But guys, thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing your story. I do appreciate it.
Good to be here.
My partner in crime, Pierre Avenard. Thank you very much again. Thanks guys, for tuning in to this podcast. And please check out the link for Sundar Villas from
Sundar
from Sundar. Thanks very much for your time, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye.